Welcome back, everyone, to episode 4, to the scariest part of this video series, which is the next slide, or rather a next series of slides, because this is a rather big subject. If you're not doing physical items at all, well, you can skip these videos regarding physical, and then there'll be some videos regarding the post-campaign stage and then the fulfillment stage, but that should be not too bad for you. But physical, this is a major point, and this is where it can, if you pull it off, it's awesome, and nothing is cooler than having kind of like your thing being made in 3D space in the real world. But the problem is that when you're doing Kickstarter or crowdfunding, it's bespoke. And that is very risky because most likely you are not an experienced publisher. If you're watching this video, you are most likely not an experienced publisher of video games and kind of like deep experience in how all the physical intricacies work when getting cartridges made or getting your PlayStation physical item. So the point is that you are responsible for a lot of this stuff. It is possible, however, to get partners to work with you, and you should, because you should not do this by yourself unless you are a fantastic business that can make everything happen inside of your business. Wow, that would be amazing. But okay, so in physical production, we have several things that we need to think about. First of all, it's the manufacture of the items. So you have like your game copies for most likely console. I would not recommend doing PC physical anymore unless you're trying to do something special. But I think that is basically donezo. But console physical, absolutely on the table. So things need to be manufactured, merch items or game copies. Setting up the SKUs or the store keeping units, which is kind of like the formal identifier of this product, and I will kind of go through like the entire chain of command, all the way from manufacturer all the way until actually before manufacturer, because you set up your SKUs correctly in your campaign before it was even sent to manufacturer. So this is why I'm red flagging this all the time, because it needs to be correct when you're setting up the project, or else you're going to have a mess on your hands and it's going to be hard to deal with. So costs. When it comes to physical production for your crowdfunding, you as the creator are responsible for making that happen, right? You might work with a partner or something that kind of helps you actually manufacture items or whatever, but basically it's all on you. And it's not in like an organized retail system. Then you have the shipping, which means to ship the actual items out into the world. This includes fulfillment, which means that shipping is one thing. That is when it's actually on the boat or in an airplane. But fulfillment is when your item is going into a box called assembly, wrapped, shrink wrapped, and they put an address marker on the envelope that sort of thing. So fulfillment and shipping, we tend to combine those into like a thing. How shipping is paid. So what's the modern take on this? Well, in Kickstarter, you can do several options. You can either say that it's included in the price of the pledge of the tier. You can have them I think that you can set up shipping cost as its own thing that they actually pay for when they are pledging, meaning you know, it's your pledge tier dollar amount plus shipping dollar amount when going to checkout. And the final one is to do shipping payment post campaign. I would strongly recommend, because everybody else is doing it, and we ended up doing that too, to do this post campaign. But then you need to be aware of what you're doing, and also tell backers that in the campaign. This is common on crowdfunding platforms nowadays, where it will be like from different creators, they write in the campaign itself, hey, all shipping fees will be calculated and applied post campaign. I strongly recommend to do this. The reason why is that shipping and shipping costs are volatile as F. Just in the since January this year, there was a doubling in shipping cost due to events that happened in the world, in the real world, where there were conflict in certain parts of the world, and this affected shipping fees to such a degree. This is why this is red flag, because if your business is not made to handle this, you're all of a sudden sitting with like this massive extra bill, right? So this is why one of the big reasons why I'm doing this video series, to just have everyone that watches this and wants to create crowdfunding campaigns to be mindful of certain things. So basically how it works is that it's, if shipping is paid in post campaign, what that means is that the backer will pay their shipping fee in a service called backer kit or similar. This is kind of like how most people do it, but there are ways. So that will be after your campaign is completed. They'll receive something called a survey, where they enter confirm their email address, do any additional purchases or pledge, you might say, like add-ons or pre-orders, and do their shipping fee. But you as a creator need to understand all of the stages of the project. What I recommend is to not send out like if you're charging your backers for shipping fee post campaign, do it close to when you are actually shipping the items. Since the shipping stuff is so volatile, you don't want to miss, because this is where you can get hit by several $1000s for your project, as you know, you don't have these budgeted. So important to kind of be mindful of this. I also write countries to ship to. You can set up your crowdfunding campaign however you like. And you need to be mindful of, am I gonna ship physical items globally or only to certain regions? Yeah. And as things happen and things transpire in the world, and new legislations came up, and things are, all of a sudden there's like this import tax or tax stuff happens, and it affects you. Because when you made your decisions, let's say you started your Kickstarter campaign in 2024, but you are fulfilling in 2027 or 28, well, things might have changed since then, and you might have a problem on your hands, right? What I would recommend in the end, definitely ship to the US. Ideally ship, like your project is in the US and you kind of ship domestically in the US. It is absolutely possible to ship globally, but just know that the costs are very high, especially to certain parts of the world and depending on where you are shipping from. So basically, when you are if you are making a crowdfunding campaign and you're telling your backers, your shipping fee will come later, you don't want to get them having like a bad experience where they go like, whoa, that is a massive bill that I all of a sudden have to pay. You kind of want to try to keep people informed, and in order to de-risk a project fully, I would only ship in the US, because the US, everything is a little bit easier. But if you're shipping, there are so many things that can apply to this stuff. For example, if you're shipping from the US to EU, sometimes VAT stuff applies. There's a lot of complexity in this stuff. I don't think this video is enough to kind of tell you everything. Basically, what you need to do is to work with a shipping vendor, like a fulfillment center, and get their advice, like their professional advice on this stuff. But then again, it might be hard for you to kind of know everything before you actually succeeded your Kickstarter campaign, because maybe it didn't succeed, right? And then you went into all of this effort talking to like a fulfillment center before you even started your campaign and trying to kind of get all the information. It's very hard. So yes, but at least know that US is fairly easy, especially domestically, to ship in. And it is possible to do worldwide, but certain regions are very, very expensive. For example, the oceanic regions of Australia and New Zealand, from other parts of the world, also Latin America even, from the US. So it is a little bit, you can't know all of this. Like you need expert help, and I'm no expert. I just kind of learned things the hard way. What we did was that we did ship globally, but and we shipped out of the US with manufacturing in the US. But yeah, I think that if I would be careful of shipping to EU. As long as it's communicated clearly to the backers, and if they can kind of accept the cost that they are taking on, then I would do anything. But yeah, it's a very difficult subject. Get expert help. Okay, let's see what's on the next slide here. Yeah, a thing to keep in mind. You want to try to make price quotes on, manufacture of your physical items before you're doing your campaign. This is in order to budget your tiers and rewards. But the problem is that you're gonna get some early quotes. But then again, in a game development project, it's likely to have like 3 years between that early quote and when you're actually fulfilling or putting things into manufacture. And I red flag it because if you're not kind of trying to keep up on date with this stuff, later down the line you might get a big bill that differs from what you were budgeting your project for. And this is a problem. All of these things like sort of can get combined, right? Like, let's say it differs just a little bit, but then the other thing also differs a little bit, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and still you're gonna have like a very big combined value of unbudgeted higher costs. So this is why I'm sort of poking this so much. Like, and this is a pretty likely thing to have happen. So you're gonna see me talk about like kind of risk assessment a little bit later. But just understand that your quotes on physical stuff, everything from the manufacturer to shipping, will be very likely very different from when you started the project until you actually manufacture. I wrote get a manufacturer early and get fulfiller early if you can. Like if you have a very strong project and if it looks like during the campaign that it's gonna go like the goal will be succeeded, I would definitely try to talk to these entities just a little bit after a campaign. If you have for some reason a very good reputation or you are very likely to succeed with this crowdfunding before you're even doing the campaign, I would try to set up deals with both manufacturer and fulfillment house before you even do the campaign. That is ideal. Manufacturer means, well, first of all, somebody needs to make the game. Most likely you will offer like console physical copies, right? But also merch items. I think I'll talk about this in a later slide, but if you can, if the entity that is responsible for having your physical game copies made can also do merch or related items that you're offering, that is ideal. In order to have like a fulfillment house, the ones that are actually shipping and handling addresses and all early, that would be awesome. Because then you can, ideally before the campaign, because then they can help you set up everything from SKUs and such correctly before you even start your campaign. But if you work with these things as early as possible, really, that can help you in having all of the kind of documents and data correctly set up so that it goes smoother. Smoother means less money, which and unsmooth means, oh no, I have to pay a lot more money in order to make certain things happen. So yeah, and for physical, you should try to get a retail deal. So I think that what this means is that you're gonna try to have like physical copies being produced that is going out into actual game stores in the world somewhere. probably the US, for example. Because when you're manufacturing game copies, there's a minimum amount of copies that you actually need to produce. In the first physical run of game copies, you're going to have to produce a minimum quantity. And that quantity is likely higher than the amount of backers you have on your crowdfunding. So that's why you want to try to ideally talk to a publisher that can handle physical production of a game. You know, they can order your cartridge being made from, for example, Nintendo. But they can also get that game into the retail system. That is the ideal situation that you want. Try to go for that. Okay, yes. Physical and risk funds. So with the bespoke nature of kind of creating physical stuff, things are just going to go wrong. You should have a risk fund in your business for handling that. And it should be probably like 20,000 USD or something. As a sort of like general number to kind of handle stuff that just happens. That is so that you won't sink, right? And kind of think about, well, accidents and damages and whatever things that can go wrong just in the physical manufacture and shipping in terms of costs. I would strongly advise to kind of have that budgeted in your project specifically for this purpose. Yeah, unique items for Kickstarter is something to think about. I think I'll talk about that later. Yeah, pre-orders, post-campaign. Yeah, let's skip those for now. Yes, you need to produce a minimum amount of copies when you're producing a limited run of physical games. Yeah, so variants of items. For crowdfunding, if your business is like super experienced with handling physical items, then you probably don't need to watch this video because then you can handle it. But if you're kind of like inexperienced and trying to kind of learn this stuff or deal with it all, I would kind of keep it simple TM. Like if you're gonna offer merch items with variants, let's say I am offering 6 types of t-shirts and then they are male or female or la 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 la. It is possible to do, but just know that the amount of complexity that you're adding to stuff, like if you're offering variants, then I would have like I would just work with somebody that is dedicated to kind of like the entire physical fulfillment stuff. Like it just, for me, it just sounds super stressful and tons of things that can go wrong with that. I would just try to keep it simple. If you have expert help, you can do cooler stuff, I'd say. Something to be aware of. One of the most common things, right, for backers, and you might have thousands of them. Thousands of backers supporting your project, and many of them, you know, they need to change their address and stuff like that. What is the pipeline? So you're using something in the post campaign phase called BackerKit. where the backer can easily edit their address by themselves. But you might also later on have to deal with this kind of manually. But there are like these points, touch points, where a lot of backers kind of have to do common operations. You kind of want to understand how that works. Yeah. Changes during production. I actually don't know why I wrote that, so I'll skip it. Physical fulfillment is a long tail operation. What that means is that when you start shipping your items, there are likely a lot of backers that just haven't answered their survey, or they've disappeared, you can't get a hold of them, but then they show up a year later. Hey, where's my item? I want it shipped. Basically, physical is a long tail thing that you kind of have to deal with long after it actually started shipping. If that makes sense. I feel like this video is pretty long, so we'll talk about costs for shipping or physical in the next video. See you in the next one.